In this video, I'll be showing you how to lay a floating floor. Floating floor is a simple way to transform almost any room. I'll be doing this over 3 steps. The first is to prepare the room, second is to lay the underlay, and finally the flooring itself. The tools and materials that we need for this job are the underlay, the laminate itself, a string line, tape, pencil, cutting knife, jigsaw, hammer, and a laminate installation kit. Of course, in any job of this nature, we need to consider the safety aspect. In this case, you'll be needing knee pads, goggles, mask when we're cutting. In my case, I'm lucky enough to have knee pads already in place on my trousers. In this first step, we'll be looking to ensure that the surface is clean, flat and dry, the 3 main ingredients that we need to be laying our floating floor. In this case, I've been lucky enough to have an existing vinyl floor on a concrete surface, which is in very good condition. It's not torn, not bubbled, not damaged in any way, so it is an ideal surface for laying our floor. As opposed to timber flooring, concrete flooring does require a moisture barrier. And that is necessary to stop the moisture coming through the concrete as it does, and that will damage your flooring over time. One other aspect to keep in mind is that the walls need to be straight, or we need to establish where they're not straight. The idea is when we put the spaces down, we need to know whether we need to allow a bit more spacing to allow for where the wall might be concave. Once we're happy with our inspection, we'll go ahead and lay our underlay. There are different types of laminate underlay. The one I'm dealing with today will be the moisture barrier version to prevent moisture coming through. We have the foam on this side, plastic on that side, and here we have a tear-off strip which gives you a sticky to hold the overlap on to the other sheet. Okay, we're placing the underlay down. And we generally put that in the direction that we're going to be laying the planks. And the idea is to have the sticky side out so we can have that overlay from the next underlay sticking over the top of this to provide a seal all the way along. We need to make this up along the wall, so that forms part of your barrier, moisture barrier. The plastic needs to come up at 5 centimetres. At this stage I'm just anchoring down the ends and we're just locking it in, holding it in place. Now we've established the length that we need. We also need this side to come up the same as the other end there. So we'll be cutting it about here. So with these knives you should try and cut away from yourself, but that's where we'll be cutting, along there. So once we've established the length that we need the underlay to be, use a straight edge. That should go something close to it there. Now we've completed our first roll, we can proceed with the second run, and this is simply a matter of peeling and sticking. It makes it a lot easier. Now that we've laid the underlay, we're ready to lay the flooring itself. But normally it'll be starting from the left-hand corner and with the tongue of the board facing out, and then we need to make sure that we've got the spaces in. The spaces, as you can see, can be made deeper or shallower, but normally it's about 10 millimetres that we're looking to provide. The fact that it's a floating floor, it needs to have that ability to expand and contract across the floor. Take the second one along here, put up an angle at about 30 degrees, push it in firmly, and let it sit down like that. To help it go fairly straight, we can put another one in. And each time we do that, it'll make it go straighter, so we can put the next one in and move along from there. As you can no doubt see, we're laying the boards in an offset situation, a staggered situation, where we're obviating the need to have a join across the room. That would weaken the flooring and could even come apart. This way it's making it very strong. Let's say the more offset you have it, the stronger it is. When you're coming in from an end, starting in from an end, try and have at least a 300 mil to start with. Anything less can either weaken it or not look so good. To fill in these end cuts, it's a simple matter of taking your plank, Turning it upside down, up into the corner where it's got to go. Make sure you're pretty much lined up there. Mark where it's got to go and mark that with your set square. So we'll be cutting with a jigsaw, so we'll keep it that way, and I've marked on the back of the material so we can cut this way. With safety being paramount, we need to keep in mind our safety equipment. We've got our safety glasses, of course, and a mask when we're cutting through wood. With this material, wood cut from the reverse side. A jigsaw, in fact, cuts up as opposed to a hand saw, which are cutting down. As you can see, our flooring is progressing really well. It's starting to look magnificent. Very proud of the job. What we'd like to do, though, is at this stage just assess, make sure everything's as it should be. Run our hands over it, make sure there's no lipping. Yes, as we can see, that one's not as it should be. So we'll use our flooring tools, tapping block, just tap him in. That's it, nice and tight. All the joints must be really tight. You can't have any gaps anywhere, because if there's a gap there, it's going to magnify further across the room. So we make sure as we go that each joint is very tight, right the way across, lengthwise and widthwise. Only remains now to finish off with the skirting and door trims. I like to be able to use the scotia, where we can just peel it off and stick it onto the existing skirting, and this can just float over the top with your flooring underneath that one. With the trims, this particular one is like a ramp, if you like, where you're passing from the higher level of the floor, maybe down to a lower level of carpet or tiles. This one is used between floating floor rooms. The rooms, you've got to have a break between the rooms because each one is going to have its own expansion and contraction, so we need to have a trim like this. There we are, our flooring has been laid, looking magnificent as we expected, and the job is finished. If you have any further questions, please consult your flooring team member at your local Bunnings warehouse.